This is the penultimate leg of the 2018 series and time is running out. This weekend, the world's elite horses and riders will converge here at the historic Arras de Jardy in Paris in search of those vital series points. Who will dominate in the dressage, who will shine in the show jumping, and who will conquer the cross country? This is Eventing Reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters.
The International Eventing Show here at Arras de Jardy this weekend hosts some of the world's best. Located near Versailles on the eastern outskirts of Paris, this famous stud, with its unique architecture and the centuries-old stables, coupled with the extensive first-class facilities, mean that the series battle continues in some style. The top 5 place riders are all coming forward with big hopes of adding valuable points in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize, and with 14 different nations represented, there is a truly international feel to the competition. Yesterday, it was all about the grace and the elegance of the dressage. Today, it is all about the jumping phases, the show jumping this morning, and the cross country, the thrills and the spills over Pierre Michelet's track a little bit later on this afternoon. We cannot wait to get started, and we are sure that leaderboard is going to shuffle as the day progresses. Welcome to Jardy. We're delighted to have you with us, and joining me in the studio for the show jumping phase from Echo Ratings at Bern. We've got a big day ahead of us, and it's a big day for France.
A big day for France. I think there's still a couple of big French hopes still in this. I think we had figured Gwendolyn Furr would challenge, and Tebe de Hoos is still going to be there towards the end as well. So big day for France. All looking okay so far. Big challenges from elsewhere as well. A
big day ahead. Well, it's not just us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good morning to Hannah White.
Good morning, Nicole. Well, if there was a dressing room equivalent of eventing, this would be it. I'm down at the stables where all the final preparations are being made for the show jumping, which is about to kick off very shortly. I've just glanced Michael Jung, who said the show jumping was very big. He's just walked the course. Everyone's getting ready. The grooms are working furiously. It was an early start this morning. Now, someone I have spied down here is just in this stable, getting one of the prettiest mares in the field ready. Let's see if she can talk to us. It's Marcel Tattersall, Mummy Tats as she's known, Gemma's mum, and of course, chief groom, and the very beautiful Chica Bella P. Marcel, what are you up to this morning?
Well, we're just preparing her ready, giving her a little bit of personal attention, which she loves. So we do lots of grooming and just making her feel like she's very special, which she knows she is. And then she will go and hopefully perform. She loves having the attention.
She did so well yesterday in the dressage, and she's a great little jumper. Making her look and feel good is so important.
It's really important. We do spend a lot of time making them feel good. I think it's really, really important.
Going to have to stop you there, Marcel. I'll let you get back. Thank you so much. Nicole, it's all going on here.
And make no bones about it, Chica Bella P really does love all of the attention. She'll love the cameras. But of course, it is the series fight that we're concentrating on this weekend. Chris Burton is our series leader, but a lot of riders, including Gemma Tattersall, are snapping at his heels.
Leading the charge is Australian Olympic eventer Chris Burton, who's placed first and third in the 2 most recent legs.
Chris Burton, Polystar, they won in Arville. They are inside the time here at Barbary.
Following an exceptional performance at the St James's Place Barbary Horse Trials at leg 4, he not only became, according to the Echo Ratings Wizards, the fastest rider in the eventing world, but he also clinched the overall series lead from Laura Collett. Collett returns on London 52 after the pair's stellar ride at leg 3 in Arville, hoping to regain top spot. Gathering late momentum to rise up the leaderboard after a third place at Barbary, last year's series winner Gemma Tattersall arrives with 14-year-old mare Chico Bella P.
Wow, Gemma Tattersall, Chico Bella P clears the last inside the time, 29.1. She'll definitely be in the final 10 riders.
Having placed 4th at leg 3 in Arville, a podium spot for the pair in France would see her pile the pressure on the top 2. Just 1 point behind Tattersall in 4th, New Zealand Olympian Tim Price's recent performances haven't bagged him the points he was aiming for. Hoping to bring out the big guns in France following some time off from top-level competition is his 4-star winning horse, Westgate, suggesting Tim is more serious than ever and hungry for a place on the series podium. And in 5th place, heading into leg 4, is crowd favourite and most capped Event Rider Masters competitor Bill Levitt, who's competed at a staggering 14 of a possible 17 legs so far since the series' inception in 2016. Finishing on the podium for the very first time at leg 3 in Belgium, Levitt and Shannondale Titan are no strangers to putting in big performances. If they can finish well at Jardy, they will surely be in the running for a podium place going back into the series finale at Blair Castle in Scotland. However, with big players such as world number 1 Oliver Townend, double 4-star winner Janelle Price and current world champion Mikkel Jung all vying for a place on the leg 5 podium, the Jardy Eventing Show could be the tipping point for the 2018 Event Rider Masters.
Well, let's take a look at that series leaderboard after the 4 legs so far. Christopher Burton for Australia. Can he top the series podium this year? He is the current leader, 75 points, and well placed here this weekend with Cooley Lands. Laura Collett also very well placed, 70 points. She is snapping at Chris Burton's heels, and she will be hoping to close that gap or overtake him here this weekend as well. Gemma Tattersall, Tim Price, Bill Levitt, all very well placed on the leaderboard and all very well placed in the series to pick up good series points as well, because it is a huge point of the series. It is the best 5 scores to count towards that series tally, and all of our riders are bidding to add the 30 points that they would get for a win here this weekend. But of course, Chris Burton, the last 2 legs, he's been on the podium. He won in Arville and then he was 3rd at Barbary. Can he hold on to that series lead this weekend?
I mean, the real question in terms of whether he holds on to it depends on himself against Laura Collett. Cooley Lands against London 52. Both of them are going to be interesting to watch in the show jumping phase. Cooley Lands at this level, 3 from 3, so hasn't had a pole at this level. I am expecting him to jump clear. London 52, going on to his 11th international, never had a pole, never had a time penalty at any level. So between the two of them, I still think they'll both be in contention. It will probably boil down to how tight a time we're going to have on the cross country. Cooley Lands challenges, he has to jump clear, back with Chris for the first time in a while. And London 52, how quick can he be? He was quick at Arville.
So London 52, because yesterday we were looking very closely at Laura's dressage. Chris Burton had come in and done a super test. Laura came in, she needed to be ahead of Chris Burton after that first phase. He was going to be tough to catch. She's done it by the narrowest of margins. If she can hold on ahead of him this weekend, even just closing the gap will help.
Don't forget, we saw Polystar. I know it was quite early in his 3-star career, but he did have a run out at at Blair a couple of years ago. It wasn't a finale back then. So we all know with the sport that everything stays open pretty much until the very final person out at Blair this year. So it's wide open as long as she stays reasonably close. I think she'll be reasonably close even if they're not, even if she's a little bit behind Chris here. I think it stays open.
And of course, Bill Levitt, Gemma Tattersall, Tim Price, all in the series hunt as well, all placed in the top 10 after dressage. But it is all 3 phases that are going to count. Yesterday was about the dressage. Today, it's about the jumping.
Eventing is a triathlon of equestrian sports, where the athletes and their horses are tested across the 3 classic disciplines. Phase 1, dressage. Phase 2, show jumping. Phase 3, cross-country. Only perfect consistency across all of the disciplines will result in victory. Scoring is simple. The closest to 0 wins. Riders need to start off with a good score in the dressage phase, and then in the next 2 jumping phases will do their best to add no further penalties to that dressage score. Dressage. The opening phase of eventing competition tests the harmony between the horses and riders. The horses must display contentment and willingness to perform to the ideals of dressage training, which promote a unique juxtaposition of powerful energy and relaxed gracefulness. During the dressage test, the judges scrutinize every single aspect of both horse and rider as they perform the individual movements of the routine. The stage is then set for the jumping phases of the competition. It's time to up the ante in the show jumping phase. The world's best must now swap style and grace for power and precision, as the second phase of the Event Rider Masters competition tests the technical jumping skills of horse and rider. Penalties accumulate when fences fall, the horse refuses to jump at the first attempt, or the combination completes the course slower than the optimum time. The goal? A clear round, which adds 0 penalties to the rider's dressage score, boosting the chance of a place on the Event Rider Masters podium. Each Event Rider Masters competition culminates in the holy grail of eventing, the cross country. Riders and horses must adapt themselves yet again, this time for stamina, speed, and pure courage. Huge jumps, challenging climbs, and descents on a course of up to 4 kilometers stand in between the horses, riders, and Event Rider Masters glory. The clear round goal once again is to jump clear and within the optimum time. The horses and riders run in reverse order of the leaderboard, with this final phase reaching fever pitch as the top 10 take to the course. When the final combination crosses the line, the champion is crowned.
Well, we've absolutely no doubt that all 3 phases are going to play their part this weekend. The dressage took place yesterday. Now, Derm, in terms of the dressage here 12 months ago, we actually had a pretty low average in the top 10, didn't we?
Yeah, we were sub 30 average last year in the Event Rider Masters, so very low. This year a little bit higher. We still saw some very good rounds. Very difficult, as you can imagine, to go sub 25. About 5% of people have done it over the 8-9 years, over nearly 10 years now. Here it's even more difficult. So to see those 2 big tests, Alex and Kareem, both in the sub 25 zone. We talked about it with Janelle yesterday, the 75% test. It's not as easy as you think.
And in terms of the show jumping, here 12 months ago, it was the toughest that we've seen in Event Rider Masters history.
Yeah, massively influential cross show jumping round last year. Only 8%. Toughest, as you say, toughest in ERM history. What's fascinating for me, and I hear, from what we've heard behind the scenes, that it's big. That the riders are walking it, that they're showing it a lot of respect. Just 8% last year. If it turns out in anything like that, we're going to see a lot of change. There's not many marks between that top group.
There absolutely aren't many marks between the top group. Just one pole covers the top 11. But yesterday, as we've said, was all about the dressage. Let's take a closer look and just remind ourselves of how the action unfolded.
Day 1 at the Jardy Eventing Show, and with the Masters top 5 in attendance, sparks were expected to fly at leg 5 in the race for vital series points.
I've got Wesco. He's been on ice for a couple of years. Hasn't been out. So very excited to have him here. This is a great place to get him back up to this kind of level, and hoping for a good weekend.
It was a really good weekend last weekend, and I'm really looking forward to riding Chica Bella here at Jardy. I'm sure it'll be a good test.
After a 2-year break, it was an emotional return for Wesco and Tim Price. The worldwide favourites sit in 4th overnight on a strong 25.2, just 0.1 of a penalty behind Equi-Rating's one to watch, Izzy Taylor. Along with B-Touchable, Taylor danced her way to 3rd place, producing a super test and a score of 25.1. Leading France's Bastille Day charge, carrying Florent Lacroix and Entebbe de Us put in a stellar performance to lay their leg 1 Chatsworth Demons to rest.
Karen Legard and Entebbe de Oos, the crowds applaud. He is such a firm fan favourite.
The combination scored 23.9 to go into second place ahead of the show jumping. But it was British rider Alex Spragg and Zagreb who smashed their CIC 3-star dressage personal best.
And he looks absolutely delighted with it. We're going to have a new leader because Alex Spragg Zagreb put in a really polished performance.
After an immaculate test, the pair had earned 23.6 from the judges and the overnight lead here at leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters.
You've seen the scores just racking up in front of you and you thought, you have to go in there, attack it. If something goes wrong, then so be it, but you've got to give yourself a chance of being in the lead, and yeah, for once we've done it, so I'm over the moon.
Join us for all the show jumping and cross-country action live on Facebook and Event Rider Masters TV.
Well, let's take a look at how that leaderboard is shaping up after the first of the phases. Alex Spragg Zagreb, a huge test from them, 23.6, with the firm home favourites Karen Legard and Entebbe de Oos in second. Izzy Taylor with her Blenheim Series finale winner from last year. Be Touchable currently completing the podium. Other ones to watch, Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love, well placed in fifth. Gwendolyn has won here at Jardy on the last 2 years. And the man who won here 12 months ago, Michael Young-Corazon, 26.9. And look at that, Laura Collett just marginally ahead, not even a second on the cross country, ahead of the man that's ahead of her in the series fight, Christopher Burton, currently sitting in 13th with Cooley Lands. Maxime Livio, Calaudaman, 28.8, another very good test for him. And Márcio Jorge, JCR winner inside the top 20 for Brazil as well. All of the three Swedish riders in the next grouping. Anna Nielsen, the best of them with Candy Girl. And there was disappointment in the first phase for Clara Loiseau and Won't Wait, who unfortunately were eliminated for continued resistance over 20 seconds, which under the rules of the FEI does mean that they unfortunately won't be coming forward. So that is how the leaderboard is looking. We've got the scene very much set for an excellent day of jumping, but it's of course just a few minutes away from the start of the action. The tension is building. Riders are making their final preparations. Let's go to Hannah.
Thanks, Nicole. Yes, all the riders are making their final preparations. They've just been out walking the course. I'm joined by two of the stars. Izzy Taylor, what do you make of the course?
Yeah, it's a big track. It's twisty. I imagine the time will be tight, so it will produce a result.
It's all kicking off quite early this morning. I feel like everyone's sort of not on the back foot, but like had an early start getting ready. There was a lot of activity down in the stables. It's a long day for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a long day, but we're lucky it's cooler at the minute, which is nicer for the horses, nicer for us. And, you know, we do have early starts. It's not really that early.
Any particular questions on the course that you think are going to pose difficulties?
I think, you know, there's questions the whole way around the track. It's like you say, it's big, it's square, it's forward. So there'll be faults around the course.
Izzy, I know you haven't even had breakfast yet, so I'm going to let you dash off and I'm going to have a chat with Alex. Alex, you're overnight leader. Congratulations. Just one fence separates the top 10. It's really tight, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for adding a bit of pressure like that. No, it is really, really tight, but that's what makes it exciting. So there'll be a lot of pressure on the riders coming in to try and get a clear round, and even time penalties are going to be are quite relevant really in the standings before we go cross country. So you know, I've got a favourable position where I can watch a couple go and see how the time's riding, and the distances are quite forward, but then if the time's tight you want to be getting into a good gallop, so that might work in our favour. But it's a big course. I haven't seen a course at a 3-star level this big for a while, so it's going to take some jumping.
Going to take some jumping. It's going to be great for us spectators. Alex, best of luck. Thank you very much. Now, one of the fences that is going to cause some problems is, of course, the Event Rider Masters fence. There is an option there. The planks, which are harder, take less time, and then the other option takes a little bit more time. You have to go further. The start is over behind me on this side of the course, and a finish over there. Now, Laura Collett, London 52, super jumper. We've got high hopes for you in this phase.
Well, let's hope so. He is a good jumper, but it's a serious track out here, and I think the time will be tight. So, yeah, I'd have to be on our A game.
He's pretty young, isn't he? And to be performing at this level is absolutely fantastic. What are your expectations? Are you hoping to go clear?
Yeah, obviously we always hope to go clear. This would be, out of the 3 phases, this is the phase that he's used to, having show jumped till he was 7. So, he'd be confident coming into here, but then it's a massive track on the cross country. So, it's all to play for.
And no pressure, but you've got your owner here. Karen Bartlett, owner of London 52. What is it like watching your horse go round a track like this?
Very nerve-wracking. I think everybody saw us yesterday at the end of the dressage, leap in the air. The emotions go all over the place, but very exciting.
And it's such a lovely opportunity for you to be able to come over here to France, watch Laura perform so fantastically, as an owner.
As an owner, these are my holidays, so it's amazing to come to places like this. It's so beautiful. We're so lucky. I mean, having been at Arville and then here, a next trip to Blair, so can't complain.
Honestly, I'm in the wrong job. I want to be an owner. Laura, very best of luck, and Karen, best of luck for London 52. It's a tough old track, Nicole, with plenty of questions.
There certainly are, and the reverse order show jumping in the Event Rider Masters means that Alex Bragg and Zagreb will be the last to go. So, Dan, the Equa Ratings ones to watch for us.
Oh, I think early on, Undercover and Katja Weinman are actually going to give us a very good indication of both the time and the jumping test. As we go on, I will keep an eye here on JCR Winner, McLaren, both of those on good runs, but at the level in terms of jumping clear, things begin to get very interesting here. London 52 and Cooley Land sitting there beside each other. They're obviously beside each other in the series as well. And finally, when you get into the big guns at the very top, I think you can pick any of them from CP qualified there in 5th all the way to the Zagreb at 1st. All of them have a big question to answer. We're going to be talking about the course as we go through it, but I think if it's anything like last year, both time and poles are going to play a role here, and I don't think there's anyone that can guarantee themselves a clear round.
Well, first to get us underway will be Clelia Casarati with Verdi, one of 2 Italians in the field, 39.5 their starting score, making their Event Rider Masters debut. Delighted to say, joining us in the studio, Porrig McCarthy, Irish international event rider, and also a man who's actually competed at the highest level in pure show jumping as well. Porrig, delighted to have you with us. Just talk us through this track.
Yeah, he's given the riders a lot to do. She's already had a pole down at number 4. It's a very square option coming up the hill. And then I think it's 7 strides to the combination and a quiet 6 here on the vertical. He's used a combination of tight lines and then loop backs, and I think it's very clever. It's going to make the riders stay up on the clock and really be aware of how they use the time.
Now, the time allowed at this stage is 80 seconds. The time here last year was pretty tight. Do you think she's moving on enough?
It doesn't look like she's really keeping the throttle down, but it's hard to know with a horse if he's got a big stride or not. It'll be interesting to see how she comes home. And it'll give us an indication of how the other riders are going to have to ride.
Well, 2 poles down so far, and she is going to be looking very tight on the clock. So she's still got 3 jumping efforts remaining. And coming down this final line, Clelia Casarati, the clock is about to turn red, so the time penalties will top up as well. 3 down and 4 time, so 12 jumping, 4 time for Clelia Casarati, 55.5 in total, and that will be the score that they take forward to this afternoon's jumping phase across the country. Now, the time is obviously pretty tight here, Porrig. The ground jury actually have an option to change this within the first 3 horses if they wish to do so, but we'll get a better indication when we've seen a couple jump.
I think they'd be reluctant to change it after that. It looked like she wasn't going that fast. I'd be very surprised if we see especially the last 10 horses having problems with the time. On those loopbacks, you can really lose time if you're not conscious to keep going, and I think we could see from early on that she didn't look like she really had the pace.
And that was a really unfortunate error on that final line, as next to come forward it is Elaine Penn for the Netherlands with Undercover, 38.5 their starting score, in 35th position coming forward. Coming to the Event Rider Masters planks. Now this is the preferred option for a lot of our riders. It's the quickest route, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you need to trust your horse is a good jumper. It's a light looking plank, but Elaine's horse really looks good. He's ballooned over the 3rd or the 4th fence, and he looks like a real athlete. He's really playing with these jumps. And Elaine is also a very good show jumper. Very nice on the vertical. And you see her moving away from the vertical, conscious that she needs to stay up on the clock.
And Elaine, a former Dutch national champion, actually won in Rensvoud a little bit earlier on this year as well. At this level of competition, the horse has had a bit of time away from the top level of the sport.
He's really giving an exhibition. He's trying his heart out here. She's moving again back around to this very tall vertical, which she needs to respect a little, because we saw the first horse making quite a bad mistake. Very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She added a stride perhaps here.
Well, she comes down to the final fence. The clock is borderline. Elaine Penn undercover is just going to sneak a time penalty. Clear jumping, 1 time penalty. So 39.5 the score that she will take forward. But actually that was a really classy round, Porrick, because the horse made it look very comfortable.
He jumped fabulous, didn't he? He was almost going so high that he lost a little bit of time in the air. And again, we saw her on the last line, or the second last line, adding a stride. And I think at this level of competition, you cannot afford to put a stride in extra anywhere. You really have to stay on the prescribed distances.
Did that stride cost her that second?
Yes, it cost at least a half a second, but I didn't notice whether she popped in an extra stride on the first line as well.
Well, a very good clear jumping round, and just the 1 time penalty to add for Elaine Penn and undercover. Next, though, it is Australia's Katja Vyman with the BP Cosmopolitan combination, who've gone very well in both Wiesbaden and Arveil so far this season. 38.4 their dressage yesterday. Katja has had a huge amount of experience at top level of the sport over in Australia. Has been based on the continent since the middle of last season.
He made a lovely jump over fence 4. A little bit too close on the first part of the combination. Unfortunately, had a mistake.
So that pole down actually already sees her drop below Elaine Penn on that leaderboard.
Riding a very, very polished round. Very good style. Presents the horse in a very nice, balanced way. He's really trying.
Well, if you would like to get involved in the show jumping, you can download the SAP Spectator Judging app in the App Store and judge each of the riders on their style and performance. So let us know which fence you think is going to be the most influential as well. Easily inside the time and clear of the last. So 2 down, 8 to add for Katja Vyman, BP Cosmopolitan. 46.4 their score going forwards. Now, we have had our 3 combinations going with the time, Porrick. 80 seconds is the time that was set for the 500 metres. Do we think that's going to stay the same by the ground jury? They can change it within the first 3.
I think it will stay the same. She rode a very nice round. She didn't look like she was in a hurry. And was comfortably inside the time. So I think that is part of the challenge of the Event Riders Masters, that not only do they have to be extremely good jumpers, but they have to be able to ride very efficiently and as the course designer has designed or planned.
Well, we'll keep you informed as soon as we get news of that. As the next 2 come forward, it is the first of our 2 German riders in the field. Pauline Knorr with Wilbert Bow, 37.5 their starting score. Pauline made her Event Rider Masters debut here this weekend. Combination that have come up through the junior young rider ranks in Germany, including competing here at Jardy in the juniors back in 2013. This is just a 9-year-old by Watermill Rolex, and a combination that went very well. Clear at Babaroko and Marbach Cross Country, and the 3rd horse we've seen to have the first part of the combination.
Yes, I mean, when I walked the course, I thought fence 4 might be more influential. That square ox coming up the hill, but they're just running a little bit too deep on the first part of that. And sometimes with all those red poles in front, it's difficult for the horse to read and tell the difference. But it looks like it could be an influential fence. She's turning quite tight back on number 8, conscious of the clock.
No problems at the SAP Oxa, so turning back towards this final line. To hang around in terms of the clock either.
I think that vertical at number 10 is going to be another very influential fence. It comes around the corner, and I think it's probably the tallest fence on the course, and it's slightly coming up the hill. And it certainly looks like it's going to cause enough problems today.
So 2 poles down and 2 time penalties for Pauline Knorr, 47.5 with Wilbert Bow the score that they bring forwards. And so that's the score that Pauline will be taking forwards to the cross-country phase a little bit later on this afternoon. Pierre Michelet, our course designer in the cross-country, and plenty of challenges out there in store for them. A real time test anticipated as well. And this is the first of those mistakes. Porrig just caught it behind.
Very unfortunate. He looked like he closed down a little bit once he took off. I couldn't say it was anything that the rider did. She rode a very nice round, and I don't think she'll be too disappointed. It's great experience to be in at this level with these riders.
Well, next to come forward, the former European champion, Jean-Louis Bigot, with Utrillo du Halage, or owner Florence Sassard. 37.5 their starting score. Jean-Louis, hugely experienced, had that wonderful campaign at Twisler Beige, who he took up to many a championship. Went to 2 World Equestrian Games, medalled at those. Also 12th individually at the Sydney Olympic Games back in 2000. Good to see him making his Event Rider Masters debut.
And he's using all his experience here to help the horse on these difficult lines. He's giving him plenty of room. He had a little nudge on fence 4, and he's really being conscious that he takes the time to set him up, even though the horse is arguing a little bit with him. But you can see his experience here, and he's doing a great job. The horse twists to get his legs out of the way. It's a sign that the horse is really trying. See how he can cope with this tall vertical.
Not a huge amount of experience at the level either. Just one CIC 3-star for this horse previously, so all going very well so far.
Again, he adds a stride coming down to the last fence, but he looks comfortable on the clock.
Well, Jean-Louis Bigot just sneaks inside Utrillo du Halage, and that is our first clear round. 37.5 his dressage. That is the score that he's going to be taking forward to this afternoon's cross-country phase. Down clear round number 1.
Clear round number 1, 97% of people on stacks voted against the fact that that would happen. So all the stacks have fallen, but what a round. Only their second time at CIC 3-star level. Very impressive. Their last time out was Haras de Pan at this level, and they did have a pull down, but that looked comfortable.
That horse jumped super. He was really trying. Like I said, he had a little rub on number 4, but after that he didn't even breathe on the pole.
Well, next to come forward, our sole representative this weekend from Switzerland, Robin Godel, making his Event Rider Masters debut, just 19 years of age, Robin, with Grandeur de Lully, 36.4 in 30th position after the first phase. And we've seen most riders taking the planks so far. In fact, all of the riders taking the planks so far. I don't think it's even been knocked down yet, Porrig.
No, it's jumping very well. The horses seem to be very aware of the wide plank, and it is obviously a lot faster to go on direct route. I mean, you're going to be very hard pushed to make the time if you go on the option.
Moving dangerously at the first part of the treble combination, but he got away with it. Sometimes you need a little bit of lady luck on your side.
Yes, he is. He's jumping a little bit left and a little bit right, but he's trying to leave the poles up so far. Doesn't look like he's going the fastest, but he is a big horse with a big stride, so it'll be interesting to see how he is on the clock.
So Robin Godel coming round to the final line. His time looks to be okay. If he takes off there in 14 seconds left on the clock, then he's just about all right. So Grandeur de Lully, we've had one clear round. Are we about to see clear round number 2, courtesy of Switzerland? All the last goes, and a time penalty as well. 5 to add for Robin Godel and Grandeur de Lully, 41.4.
Elaine Penn, that was a super round. Undercover, I mean, left absolutely nothing to chance. He was huge above those jumps.
Yes, that is, I think, his specialty, the jumping. He's extremely well jumper, and it was a fantastic round. Fortunately, we won for the time, but I'm very, very happy with today.
Just one time penalty. You're going to have to really ride a forward run in the cross country, aren't you?
I'm going for it, definitely.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, 5 combinations have gone so far. 1 clear round. You guys at home judging along in the SAP Spectator judging app, actually anticipating 11 clear rounds. Do we think, Dan, that's going to be about right, or is it going to be tougher than that?
It's interesting because, I mean, last year was a lot tougher than that. But we've seen, looking at the last 2 horses, I wouldn't necessarily have expected Jean-Loup Biget's horse to jump clear. Still young and still, reasonably inexperienced at the level. And also Robin Godel, Grandeur had actually knocked, it was 12 penalties and 8 penalties in his last 2 rounds at the level. So to jump a clear round, or actually just to have that last one down, we're only getting early indications on how it's going to play out. But certainly the horses that I expected to jump clear under cover, for example, did, look very comfortable all the way. I think 11 could be right.
You think 11 could be right,
well,
Porrig?
Can
we ask your opinion on it?
Yeah, I think we could see even on the plus side of 11.
Okay.
Looking at the riders at the end, all very, very good jumping riders and some very nice horses there. So you never know, but I think we could see 13, 14.
Okay, well, watch this space. 13, 14, Porrig says. Derm says the SAP Spectator judging audience are about right with 11. I'm going to go sub 10. There we go. Just to get our predictions in there, and I'll just be a little bit different. Next to go, Christopher Forsberg, a man who was commentating in the studio with us yesterday. Great to have his insight on the dressage. Hippo Sapporo, the horse with which he has long listed for the Swedish team for the World Equestrian Games in Tryon, looking to impress the selectors this weekend. Head coach of Sweden Eventing, Fredrik Bergendorf, is here this weekend, and he'll be watching on. So let's take a look at Christopher's round. He's coming round to the first part of this treble combination. Already has been knocked down 3 times, Porrig.
Yeah, he looks like he's really in control, very smooth, very polished rider. Gives him a very good space, but the horse just didn't get high enough. It really seems to be the bogey fence on the course today. And sometimes, on this white sand, and you get a combination of all the same colours, it just becomes a little bit of an optical illusion for the horses, and they just don't seem to be reading that fence very well today.
Well, 1 pole down drops him a couple of places on the leaderboard, 2 places to be exact. Comes to the SAP Oxa, and that's jumped well so far.
It jumps very well, and this horse is jumping very well. It's surprising that he had such a mistake on the combination. And he jumps that difficult vertical very well.
Well, the time is actually looking fairly tight. He's not going to want to hang around down this final line. It's the last to go, Christopher Forsberg and Hippo Sapporo. The clock is going to turn red as well. He just glances back over his shoulder. 1 pole down, so 4 jumping, but 3 time. 43.4. That drops him an additional place down into 33rd as things stand at the moment.
1 pole down at Wiesbaden with 2 time penalties, and 1 pole down at Arville. On trend at the moment. It'll make a big difference, as that jumping improves, to be able to take out that 4 penalties. Right now, this is still only, this is their 6th CIC 3-star as a combination. We have seen, we've seen a pole come in each of those last 3, Wiesbaden, Arville, and now Jardy.
Well, next to come forward, it is a man making his Event Rider Masters debut this weekend, Didier Villefin, with Tess Hoitier, 35.8. Their starting score. Didier, 53 years of age, represented France at a couple of Olympic Games, including a top 10 placing individually back in 1996 in Atlanta. Picked picked up a team silver medal as well. And this 11-year-old mare by Lagon de la Bay. First we've seen for a little while to get through the treble combination unscathed.
Yeah, she looks like a very careful mare. She goes a little bit marish with her ears back, but when she gets on the fence, she wants to clear them, and that's the main thing. Lagan de l'Abbe was a good sire of jumpers, and she certainly seems to have inherited the willingness to leave the poles up. While she doesn't look like a very speedy mare, he looks to be riding an efficient line. But she's really jumping well. Now he's moving on to the vertical at 10. He'll have to just rebalance a little bit here to make sure she gets time to jump it clear.
She's pushing his luck on the time. He's not got long to get home. Could be looking a little bit dangerous on the clock here. 1 penalty for every second or part second thereof over the time allowed of 80 seconds. And the clock does turn red. The last goes as well. And it is 1 pole down, so 4 jumping and 3 time. And that can be a bit of a challenge, can't it, Porrick? You know you're pushing for the time. You just don't quite make the right setup that you would have perhaps done if the time was straightforward.
Absolutely, and it's, you know, you think you're nearly home and you give an extra squeeze and a push, and sometimes the horses, they react and they give you a bit more. Sometimes they tighten, and she looks like she just almost resented it a little bit and just very unluckily chipped the back rail off that, but jumped a super round.
So Didier Villefin, Tess Hoytier, 7 to add to their score. As we're seeing that clear round for Utrillo du Halage and Jean-Luc Bigot, already moving him inside the top 30, the only person to have made the time and jumped clear so far. As next 2 come forwards, it is Janelle Price. Janelle rides at Cooley Showtime. Janelle currently ranked number 7 in the world. Rides this horse for Sir Peter Vela, Ben and Lucy Sangster and Suzanne Huchin, who've been good supporters of the Prices. But the first goes.
Yeah, the horse looked a little bit green. He bulged to her right. When they don't stay straight, it makes it a lot more difficult to jump. Janelle is obviously, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, an amazing rider in this phase, in all phases, as a matter of fact, and she's been on absolute fire. But I think this horse is probably one of our less experienced horses, Jeremy, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've had some very big rounds together. Don't forget they were on the podium at Le Lion back in 2016, but only a 9-year-old now. In this particular phase, you know, 3 rounds at the level, still waiting for a clear. The one I'm looking out for is actually their time penalties today. That was the question that we put. They have picked up time penalties at Arville, and Tim picked up time penalties at Chatsworth and Samur on Cooley Showtime last year.
And interestingly, I was reading the proposed rule changes from the FEI last night, and they're talking about reducing the time penalties in the show jumping to...
Bit of bedtime reading for you, Porrick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to change it to 1 penalty for every 2 seconds over, is that correct? Well, that's the proposed change.
That's the proposed change. I think a lot of people will be very happy to see that, including me after my 3 time penalties at Badminton.
Janelle Price, the time is going to be fairly tight for her with Cooley Showtime. 2 poles down as she comes to the final fence, clears it and just about sneaks inside. Husband Tim watching on. We'll see him a little bit later on with Wesco. 43.3. And no doubt Janelle will be able to give him some really valuable feedback on how the course was riding as well. Tim, of course, coming forward with Wesco. This is the first of the poles.
Yeah, you see, he just, as he took off, he just bulged his shoulder to the right. And then they lose the power out from the back legs, and very difficult for them to leave the fences up there. But we don't have this type of arena very often. There's really white sand and a little bit different atmosphere. And I think the young horses, they take a minute to adjust and to get used to this type of arena.
Well, the second part of the treble combination went as well. So 2 down in total for Janelle Price and Cooley Showtime. Well, within 3 poles of our leader, Alex Bragg, and Zagreb now is Cecil Eriksson and Calvin. 34.8 their starting score, in 27th position coming forward in the reverse order show jumping here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. If you're just joining us, then in the studio with us, Irish international event rider Porrick McCarthy, and from Equa Ratings, Derm Byrne as well, giving us the stats on all of our combinations.
Another one has the pole down. She has been riding him what seems to be very cautiously. It's not a rider I know. I haven't seen her so much to date. I don't know how much experience she has, Dearm. You can probably fill us in a minute. But the horse is going in a particularly strong-looking bridle. And when he came to the combination, he just kneeled over that front rail like a lot of the horses have done to date. He's actually going in a bitless bridle, I think, a Hackamore.
3 appearances at the level for both horse and rider. 2 down at Lemoulin last time out in that CIC 3-star June, but did jump a clear round at CCI 3-star level at Sopot earlier in the year.
And he's doing a good job coming to the last fence.
Well, the time is looking pretty tight again. 1 pole down, and it's going to be 4 time penalties as well. So 8 to add in total. Costs her 3 places on the leaderboard. 42.8, the score that she'll be taking forwards. Well, don't forget to keep a close eye on each of our combinations. If you want to vote for your ERM Supergroom, you can do so using the hashtag ERM Supergroom on social media.
And he definitely had a bit of a look going in there. He looks like quite a spooky sort of horse. And you could see him hesitate, and she had to give a little bit more pressure than she probably needed.
Well, next to come forward, Anna Boito rides Quoriano, comes forward with a dressage score of 34.2.
And Arnaud is one of France's really, really top riders. He's very stylish and had a lot of success at this level.
Twice in this class before as a rider, jumped clear on both occasions. This horse has been here, jumped clear. There's 6 clears from their 9 attempts at the level, 67% jumping clear rate in this phase. At CIC 3-star level, that's one of the highest in the field.
He does look like a very good jumper, but Arnaud is so stylish, he's so still, he barely moves his hands. He's a really good one for young riders to watch and see the time that he gives his horses to focus and get themselves away from the front rail.
And he's actually looking like he's moving on more than a lot of riders that we've seen in the last few.
Absolutely. You can see he as soon as he lands, he's thinking forward. Then as he approaches the fence, he takes his time. But I always tell pupils that they should think about being fast as they leave the fence, not in front of the fence, and he's certainly doing that.
Well, will it be clear round number 2? Anna Boito comes to the final fence with Quoriano. 34.2 his score. The time is going to be very close, and he just sneaks a time penalty, but to 35.2 he'll hold his position. Anna Boito and Quoriano.
Arnaud, our second clear round of the day, just 1 time penalty. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big, tough course.
It is. I'm very lucky because the horse jumps very well. I started too slowly, probably, especially between the first 2 fences, and I lost time, and I've got 1 point. So it's just my fault, but not his fault.
You were very forward between the fences, but very careful over the fences. It worked well.
Yes, probably because fences are very square, especially the Oxers, and the course is quite difficult, yeah. But this is a big competition, so.
Well, it's given you some very, very good points going into the cross country. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Well, next to come forward, it is the second of our 2 Italian riders, Pietro Sundai and Rubens de Pré, 34.0 in 25th position coming forward. So into the top 25, running in the reverse order show jumping here. And so far, Anna Boito is the man that's impressed you guys at home the most. You've given him the highest style mark so far. Don't forget you can get involved with that. Download the SAP Spectator judging app. But Rubens de Pré comes forward as a horse that was actually placed 18th individually in Stragom last year at the European Championships with Pietro. Will no doubt be very much on the radar of the Italian selectors heading to the World Equestrian Games.
Pietro started off in exemplary fashion here, riding very smoothly over the first 3. Good over 4. a super job over the triple combination. He looks very confident, the horse, that he jump careful when he gets there. He really much leaves him alone, not oversetting up. And really making a nice job so far. Oh, just ended up a little bit too far away from the combination. Ended up having, or the oxer there at 7 and had the back rail. That was very unfortunate.
That pole down just drops him below Arnaud Boiteau. And below Jean-Loup Bigot. And the time is also looking pretty tight as well. He's going to be lucky to get home from here without time penalties too. So as he comes to the final fence, we're going to watch that clock very closely. It will turn red. And Pietro Sundai, just 2 time penalties. So 1 pole down, 2 time penalties at 40.0 in 28th position. So it costs him 3 places on the leaderboard.
I hate to say it, but he almost looked too confident coming around to the oxer. Almost a fraction, possibly too casual. Here we see it again. Just ended up being a fraction too far away, and the horse had to really stretch and didn't quite make it. But otherwise, a very nice round from Pietro.
1 down at Le Moulin, 2 down at Marbach. Did add time penalties in 2 of their last 3 rounds. That's now 3 of their last 4, so definite area there.
Well, now coming forward, the young man from France, Francois Ponce with Siam Taliandi, 33.8 this combination in 24th position. They impressed us in the dressage yesterday, put in a really solid performance in the first phase. Francois, huge amount of experience for his young age as well, just 24 years old. Went very well at Barroca in Portugal a little bit earlier on this year in the long format 3-star.
Yeah, and he had a good rub coming into triple combination, but he got away with it. Looks like he's taking quite a wide turn here.
Clear at Vargam, the Nations Cup, September last year. Did have 2 down at Barroca.
Devaku upright goes, and that is 4 to add.
I think he's going to be tight enough in the time.
He is going to be very, very close to it. 80 seconds is the time allowed, set by our ground jury. Francois Ponce, Siam Taliandi coming to the final fence. 1 pole down and just sneaks it inside that time. 37.8 the score he takes forward. And that will be the score that he goes on to this afternoon's cross country with. But clears the direct route of the Event Rider Masters planks very easily. And Francois Ponce, just the 1 pole down, a good round for him. Just lived a little bit dangerously coming through the treble combination, but got away with a fairly significant rub at the first element. But as I say, sometimes you do just need a little bit of luck on side. And it was a good round from the young man from France. Next to come forward, it is the second, I should say, of the 3 Swedish riders. Malin Josefsson with Allen, 33.5 their starting score. Combination actually who didn't have the easiest round in Wiesbaden. I think if my memory serves me correctly, they actually had a refusal in the show jumping. Jumped very well, but 4 faults for a refusal, and that, of course, influenced the time too. But a horse who, on his day, can be really reliable on this phase.
Yeah, he looks like a very good jumper. Looks a little bit argumentative in the mouth, and she's a Pelham bridle on him. And you just see him running around the corner there, but when he gets to the fence, he really, really tries to jump.
And Malin, another of the Swedish riders long-listed for the World Equestrian Games. She's looking to impress the selectors this weekend. They'll be naming a squad after Aachen, which runs in Germany next weekend. And she is by far the quickest that we've seen so far. The time is absolutely fine for her.
Yeah, this looks very good.
Well, will clear round number 2 come courtesy of Sweden. Malin Josefsson and Allen, easy as you like, beautifully clear of the last. 33.5, that's the score that she takes forward, and never in any doubt.
No, it really almost pony-like quality. He's so snappy in front. Never ever got near a pole. Didn't look like there was any doubt about that one, dear.
I mean, 7 seconds under the time. As we move even into that top group, I don't expect we'll see too many.
No. But she wasn't wasting a second. I mean, she looked like she was turning back and was really knew that her horse could jump from anywhere, and he just runs and jumps. He seems to be quite happy to go and do it on his own. I'm not saying that she didn't do a fabulous job, but the horse, his front legs are around his ears. I mean, it's a dream to ride a horse like that.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing her in the cross-country a little bit later on this afternoon. Marlon Josefsson and Alan as next to come forward. Regis Prudent with Kaiser, one of 11 French combinations in the field, 33.4. Their dressage, that left them in 22nd position, so approaching the top 20 now here in leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. The reverse order show jumping.
He takes the direct route number 3 and jumps it very well, and moving away, trying to stay up on the clock as he approaches number 4. Jumps that very well. He made that line look very easy, but whether the feedback is now going back into the warm-up and how they need to ride that combination, it looks like the last couple of riders have managed it very well. Arguing with his horse a little bit in the turn, but the jump is very good.
And another that is looking very comfortable on the time, Regis Prudent and Kaiser. We've got 2 faultless rounds in the show jumping so far. Just got in a little bit close there and rubbed it, but got away with it.
Yeah, back up on the 9 strides to the double again. This looks very good.
Well, coming to the last, and Regis Prudent and Kaiser give us clear round number 3, 33.4. They take forward to this afternoon's cross country.
He looks happy.
He looks very happy with that. Very, very big day. Big day for French sport
Absolutely.
Today. And we've
it's
got
nice to do it in the home crowd.
We've got a couple of real firm favourites coming forward in the top 5. Gwendolyn Furr in 5th and Karim Leguarg on the podium here last year. He will be the second last rider to jump in 2nd position after the dressage. But Parag, you were saying this treble combination, we had quite a few knock it down early on, but actually it's jumped very well since.
Yeah, sometimes you see that, and whether it's just maybe the less experienced combinations at the beginning, or whether they're coming out and saying, look, we can't just get the horses really straight, or some kind of feedback from the first riders. But it looks like, certainly from the last couple of riders, that they've got more in tune. Anna had a very lucky out of jail card there on number 3. The horse chipped in an extra stride, but he looks like he's trying to leave the poles up.
Well, Anna Nielsen and Candy Girl really rattled the first part of that combination.
I think the next rider should check that one before they come back in. But she looks like she's having to work a little bit. She gave him a little tip on the shoulder of encouragement that time. But so far so good. And the time looks good. This would be a question, this vertical.
Well, Anna Nielsen absolutely fine on time. Candy Girl, just unfortunately took that rail. You couldn't help but feel it had kind of been coming. She'd lived a little dangerously. She's just got the last to jump, so 37.1 her score at the moment. The time's absolutely fine, and we've seen a very speedy round from her. Fred Bergendorf watching on. Round of applause from him, and Anna Nielsen completes.
Marlon Josefsson, that was superb. It was quick and it was neat and it was efficient and a clear round.
Yeah, it was really nice. He jumped really great. He is a great jumper and he loves to go quick.
But there's always that worry that he might throw you off at the first fence, isn't he? We were all a bit nervous, but he's either brilliant or he's a troublemaker.
That's true. He kicked me off sometimes just before the first fence, but when he doesn't, he's really great.
Looking ahead to the cross country this afternoon, you've got to go quick, Marlon.
I would really try.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So the clear rounds so far come courtesy of Marlon Josephson, who we've just heard from, Regis Prudent for France, and also Jean-Luc Bigot and Utrillo du Halage. Now it is Márcio Jorge, JCR winner, 32.7 their starting score. Inside the top 20 now. They're in 20th position coming forward after the first phase. And this is a horse who's only jumped twice at this level previously, but jumped clear on both previous occasions. Comfortably clear of the first two. Márcio, number of top 10 placings in the Event Rider Masters series so far. Rode this horse for the first time in the series in Arville a few weeks ago.
Márcio is also not a very stylish rider. He's done a lot of show jumping in his home country.
Now that first part of the treble combination goes for the 6th time, and the third element goes as well. That's expensive through there. 8 to add. Costs him 8 places on the leaderboard.
He just ended up having to ask the horse to wait a little bit, and as he did, the horse lost a fraction of impulsion, and he just nudged that pole out in front of him. Seems to get back into his rhythm, and he's actually made a very good reaction from those mistakes. He was very high over the fence at number 9.
And a horse that isn't overly experienced, as I say, at this level, so one that will no doubt be benefiting from a lot of good mileage as he comes down the final line. Márcio Jorge, JCR winner. The time is okay, so 2 poles down, 8 to add, 40.7. Cost them 8 places on the leaderboard, and that's the first jumping penalties this horse has had at this level.
Absolutely. 2 rounds at the level, both impressive. Arville and Chatsworth, not necessarily easy places to jump clear, but I mean, there was high hopes from a very good start for JCR winner to his 3-star career.
I'm sure that horse is going to jump plenty of rounds in the future. He looks like a very nice horse.
Yeah, I would think so.
He's one I know Márcio thinks a huge amount of for the future. As next to come forward, it is Sir Mark Todd with McLaren.
This is another very, very good jumper. He's by the top jumping Holsteiner sire Clarimo, and jumps very much in the fashion of his father. Really neat with his front legs. Wants to go a little bit low with his nose, but it's a horse that Mark really rates. He's done a very good job in producing him over the last couple of years, and I think we'll see some big results from this horse in the next couple of years.
Well, won already that second at Samura in the CCI 3-star is their last result. They did jump clear and inside the time of the show jumping that day, but they had picked up time penalties at Chatsworth. They also picked up time penalties last year in Blair, and they did pick up a time penalty at Harasta Pan in the CIC 3-star in the Nations Cup. Keep an eye on time today, but 3 clear jumping in a row so far.
And of course, no better man on board.
He's an incredible rider. This is quite a small horse. Mark is obviously very tall, but he sits in perfect balance. He's a real athlete, and he's a top jockey.
The time is actually looking pretty tight. He needs to be very careful here because he's going to be in the territory of picking up time penalties. Mark Todd McLaren, 32.3. Could afford 1 time penalty to hold his position, but nothing more. And he goes into 2 time penalties, so 2 to add for Mark Todd McLaren, 34.3. That drops them a couple of places on the leaderboard. And
darn, he was one of my bankers.
Derm, Echo scored it on the time there.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be one that Mark, in some opportunity that we'll have to talk to him, it'll be one of the questions that you'd ask, because often, as Pork will tell us, to make sure you get the clear jumping around, sometimes you may have to give horses that extra second. I think it's something that you work on as you go up to try and make sure you're matching the time with the ability to jump clear. It's only that's his 5th CIC 3-star, so still very early in McLaren's career. But you can see it there in their last 7 international rounds. We now have 4 with time penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the horses get more experience, you can trust them to turn a little bit tighter, and you know, they won't be as naive, and I think that's what we'll see with this horse as time goes by.
Well, now it is Marie-Charlotte Fous and Silas Delany. 30.9 their starting score, in 18th position after the first two phases. Combination that helped the French team to young rider team gold in Montelibretti in 2016. Took the individual gold medal on that occasion as well.
Yeah, and he looks like a very careful jumper. Oh,
Curse. Well, the final part of the treble combination goes, and that drops her 3 places on the leaderboard. 34.9. Can't afford any additional penalties to hold that position.
That was surprising, Rob. He jumped so well over the first two parts. I didn't expect that one, but he jumped slightly to the left and just barely nicked it. But he's been very solid for the rest of the course.
Well, the time looks to be okay as she comes to the final line. Marie-Charlotte Fuss and Salis Delaney. Has been a really good round from this young combination. Apart from that one pole coming out of the treble combination, 34.9 their score. Drops them down into 21st, so drops them 3 places on the leaderboard. But there was a lot to like from that round.
Yeah, the horse jumped brilliant. It was very unfortunate. Looked really... I mean, he jumped so well there for the first two parts. He was giving him miles in the second. And he just drifted slightly left. And we've seen that already with Janelle's horse. When they drift a little bit off the true line, it can just lead them to having a mistake. But otherwise, a really good round.
Well, now it is a man who finished 8th in our field. Pavel Spizak, Banderas, 30.8 their starting score. Could afford a couple of time penalties, but nothing more to hold their position. We're at 15th in Kentucky at the 4-star this spring. And will no doubt be heading back out to America in September for those World Equestrian Games at Tryon.
Yeah, this is a horse we've seen a good bit over the last couple of years. I'm pretty sure he had him in Rio as well. He is a very, very nice horse.
Former individual bronze medalist at the Léon Danger 6-year-old World Championships, gets through the combination without incurring any penalties. 6 times that first part of the treble has gone.
Another horse that's picked up time penalties in his last 2 rounds. One of those was at Kentucky, the other was at Arville. They have also had 1 pole in each of their last 4 international rounds.
He's going to be tight on the time.
And the pole goes as well. So he's got to watch the clock, and he's already got 4 to add. Pavel Spizak, Banderas, the sole representatives of Poland in the field, just sneaking inside, 34.8, so 20th position. It cost them 3 places on the leaderboard. There's Mark Todd, Márcio Jorge, Janelle Price all watching on, just checking out the competition, because there's a number of big riders still to come forwards. And the next of them will be a combination who really impressed in the show jumping here 12 months ago. But Pavel Spizak, just the one down for him. Carried on his trend.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, it was actually the question that we asked on Stacks, because you can begin to see that trend developing. 1 pole down doesn't really, it depends on the level. We've got 3-star, we've got 4-star, we've got a 2-star in there. The question we asked on Stacks was, would it be 1 pole, no more, no less, and it was.
Well, now it is Trouble Fat, Matthew Van Lanigan, 30.6 in 16th position. Matthew gave us one of those clear rounds last year. They were very few and far between. It was a tough show jumping track here 12 months ago. Proving tough again today, and Matthew will surely be one of the hot favourites for the French selectors to take to the World Equestrian Games a little bit later on this year.
He had a little rub coming out of the combination, but got away with it. He's another rider that rides very stylishly, gives the horses a lot of security on the takeoff.
Does that security come at the cost of time? And that's the one that I'm going to be asking. That's the one for you guys to keep an eye out on. Again, another rider. 3 of their last 4 rounds are all picking up time penalties. 2 of those are ERM, Chatsworth and Jardy last year, where they had 4 time penalties. Clear inside the time at Bramham in the CCI 3-star. Let's see how we get on today.
If he can stay on the time, on his rhythm, he's going to be okay, I think.
Well, he comes down the final line. Matthew Van Lanigan, Trouble Fat, rattles the first part of the combination. just got the last to go, and it is clear round number 4, and it goes to France. Mathieu van Lanegem, True Blefet, 30.6. They were top 10 here last year. Can they be top 10 here in 2018?
Mathieu van Lanegem, True Blefet, congratulations, another clear round.
Yeah, what a wonderful horse. Like I told you yesterday, I wanted to make a good jumping, and he's really fabulous.
You made a very big course look very easy.
Yeah, but with this horse, it's easier.
Good luck this afternoon, Mathieu.
Thank you very much.
Definitely do not discount Mathieu van Lanegem to be climbing the leaderboard even further this afternoon. Now, it is one of the most experienced riders in the field. Karen Donkers for Belgium with Chris and Lisa Stones at Jalapeno. 29.6, their starting score, in 15th position after the first of the phases, and actually within 2 poles of our leader. But going to drop her down the leaderboard 3 places to be exact. Not often we've seen number 2 go, Porrig.
I think that's the first time today. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with the rest of the course, because you would say that was an easy fence, and we see that 4 comes down as well. The horse just looks a little bit heavy on himself today. I've seen him jump before. He's obviously by Chile morning, and I think he's won quite a lot of the classes on the way up the levels. The mare, yeah, sorry for that one. I did when I was in Barocca. I saw her compete. I think she won the 2-star there, that 2016.
Yeah.
She won Babaroko 3-star last year as well.
She won the CIC 2-star at Poe. She won the CIC 2-star at Strigom as well last year. So it's been, you're right, it's been a very successful rise through the levels. Things a little bit tougher as you get into the CIC 3-star level.
The time is going to be pretty tight for Karen Donkers and Jalapeno. They've dropped themselves a number of places on the leaderboard. That's going to cost them further places as well. As she goes through the finish inside the time, 12 jumping, 41.6. That drops her down to 29th. So some 14 places on the leaderboard. That 3 poles down, proving really costly for Karen.
Yeah, very expensive. The mare didn't begin well, and certainly didn't look like she was on top of her game today. It's difficult with mares sometimes at this time of the year. They become in season and suddenly and they don't then jump at their best, but who knows.
Well, Karen Donkers, Jalapeno dropping outside of the top 20, as we've got some 14 combinations still to jump here in the show jumping leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters here in Haras de Jardy. And my goodness, what a treat we have in store for you, because the leaderboard is extremely tightly bunched. We're within 2 poles of our leader. Alex Braggs-Zagreb will be the last to jump. Now it is Maxime Livio and Calaudemer for France, 28.8 their starting score. A horse who specialises in finishing on his dressage score at 4-star level.
Well, finishing on your dressage score means you've got to jump clear rounds in the show jumping. This is a horse that has done that consistently, and no poles in their last 6. 3 of those coming at 4-star level. No penalties at all in that time.
Maxime is again one of France's very best, very cool customer. Very strong in his face, very strong with his body, gives the horse a lot of support.
Only 1 horse rated higher than this on our jumper ratings. We are very much expecting a clear round. That horse is Kilnebred and Evo. See him with Oliver Townend a little bit later.
Well, he's not hanging around. This is certainly one of the quicker rounds we've seen. Cloudemere certainly keen to get the job done as he comes down the final line. Maxime Livio, will it be clear round number 5 and clear round number 3 for France? It is easily inside the time, 28.8. Simply the best rings out here in Jardy. Maxime Livio, Cloudemere, one to watch this afternoon, Dan.
Well, as you mentioned, finishing on your dressage score, but that includes the next phase as well. So a big round jumping clear.
Yeah, that was
across.
textbook.
I mean, that looked very good, but because of their speed and their jumping ability cross country, you know, they needed that to make sure they gave themselves the platform for this afternoon.
I don't think he's going to hang around this afternoon.
Well, we'll be watching this space very closely. One of 4 horses who've won a 4-star in the field. And Maxime Livio, Cloudemere complete. Now, though, it is the man that leads the series. There's the armband showing him as series leader, 75 points. Cooley Lands, the horse he brings forward. A horse making his Event Rider Masters debut, owned by Kate Walls. Just a 10-year-old, 28.6 their starting score. The Australians have been getting a good deal of help in this phase, the show jumping, from Nelson Pessoa. And Chris has been riding a lot of show jumpers as well. So the phase he's not been taking any chances with. And Cooley Lands would be one that is generally pretty reliable, Derm.
Yeah, we'd be expecting a clear. It's always difficult when the horse is moving. You know, you can never be sure about the rhythm and everything. But Kate jumped clear at Bramham and also at Chatsworth, and Chris jumped clear at Buccleuch. Cooley Lands has a good line of clear jumping rounds at this level, and also in recent form. So all trends suggesting a clear round.
Well, the time looks just about okay. Kate Walls has planned this horse's spring campaign. The ride's just gone back to Christopher Burton, and he comes down to the final fence, clears it well, easily inside the time. Of course he is. The series leader puts the pressure on, 28.6 in 13th position and possibly higher, because he is very tight to the top of that leaderboard. 28.6 the score he takes forward. And we've seen him climb the leaderboard with a fast clear across the country at Barbary last week. More of the same today?
Potentially more of the same. Who's ahead of him? That I'm nervous to start picking it, because London 52 is about to come into the ring as well. But the big thing that Chris is going to give you, if the time is as tight as I expect it is, running this way at Jardy. We've seen that in the trends of the last 10 years. Every alternate year, nobody makes the time. So if someone's going to do it this year, he's probably the man most likely. And of course, that means moving up through that leaderboard. So he's given himself the platform, but now
Laura Collett, London 52, 28.3. Laura just behind Chris in the series leaderboard, cannot afford any penalties in this phase to hold that position ahead of him. 28.3 her starting score.
11 internationals, never had a pole, never had a time penalty.
Yeah, and she started off here in copybook fashion. She's another rider in a really purple patch at the moment, and it looks like she can't do anything wrong when she goes in the ring. She's riding full of confidence. She just turns back and the distance is there for her all the time. And this is a lovely young horse.
Only a 9-year-old, went so well in Arveil to complete for the first time at the level on the podium, was behind Chris Burton and Polystar on that occasion, and put in a really good fast round across the country.
She looks very comfortable on the clock here. Got a fraction deep and rolled the fence at number 10.
Well, London 52, the first pole this horse has rolled in his international career, and that drops her a few places on the leaderboard. It drops her below Chris Burton as well. So Laura Collett, London 52, still a very good score of 32.3, but she'll be a little disappointed with that.
Yeah, she rolled back there, and it was just, I'd say, 2 feet deeper than she expected, and the horse was a little bit surprised. It's a bit taller than all the other fences on the course, and that was a really unfortunate roll. The horse jumped an absolutely beautiful round.
Well, Laura Collett and London 52, 32.3 their score as they go forward to the cross country, and that just drops them 3 places on the leaderboard. But importantly, it pulls Chris Burton up to 11th place. Now, at Barbary last week, he was 11th after show jumping and pulled himself up with a fast clear to finish in third position. Bill Levitt now with the Shenandoah Titan, owned by the Prentice family. 27.2 their starting score, in 11th position coming forward. Bill hugely involved in the Monarch sale, who very kindly donate a 2-night stay at their very nice hotel over in Ireland. That's for the winning owner of each of the legs.
Yeah, Titan is another good jumper. He's an Irish bred by Limerick, and we've seen him jump plenty clear rounds at this level. Bill does also a very good job. He's clear over what I would say is the most influential part of the course.
And Bill, I think nobody was more delighted than us in the studio when he finished on the podium in Arville for the first time. He's been such a big supporter of the series, but has missed out on a few occasions.
Setting up for this, he's clear over the difficult vertical at number 10.
Well, Bill Levitt coming down the final line. He's clear so far. He's just got the last to go, 27.2, and he clears the last as well. That is a superb clear round. Clear round number 7 goes courtesy of Australia's Bill Levitt and Shenandoah Titan. He will be in the top 10 going forward to this afternoon's cross country.
Maxime Livio, congratulations, another clear round on home turf.
Yeah, thank you very much. The horse is super careful. He wants to give all the time the best he can. He was so excited at the beginning, but well, I know him very well. I try to manage him and to try to ask him to listen to me enough. But he was so careful and so with me today, so I'm very happy.
Good luck this afternoon, Maxime.
Thank you.
Well, 10 combinations to jump here in the reverse order show jumping. The first of them will be the Netherlands' Alice Neighbour-Lozeman with ACSI Peter Parker on a score of 27.1. Can't afford any penalties in this phase to hold her position ahead of Bill Levitt and Shenandoah Titan, who are on 27.2, so just 0.1 behind her. And Alice comes forward with this horse who's 16 years of age now, very experienced, 6th at Boekelo last year, reserve champion in the Dutch National Championships on that occasion, behind Tim Lips and Biro.
Alice does a very good job on this phase. She does a lot of pure show jumping as well. Peter Parker is just making her work a little bit hard today. He has the first part of the combination.
Well, the first part of that combination has certainly fallen on a number of occasions. Alice not the only one to have been caught out there, and actually the 7th rider to have it down. So that costs her a top 10 position at the moment, but she needs to get home on this score of 31.1.
Yeah, Peter hasn't looked on his best today. Just got caught out in those second last vertical as well. Hopefully she's going to bring it home on 8 falls.
Well, it costs her 10 places on the leaderboard. 8 jumping easily inside the time. 35.1 is the score that Elise will be taking forward to this afternoon's cross country. And we've certainly seen that time becoming a little bit easier as we've progressed. Porrig riders aren't leaving anything to chance.
I think that's a trend that we see often at this level, that the earlier, maybe less experienced riders get a bit cut out in the time, and as you get towards the sharp end, it becomes less and less of a problem.
Well, last year we had just 8% jumping clear. We did raise the possibility that we might see it flip a little bit, in that often you'll see that compensated for when it sits somewhere in there in the human brain that they don't want it to be as tough as it was again. Right now we're at about we are at 26% jumping clear rate.
Well, this man jumped clear in the show jumping in Wiesbaden with this horse Corazon. But had 3 down in Arveil last time out. 26.9 his starting score, in 9th position coming forward. Only stepped up to 3-star level this year. But of course, Michael, hugely experienced, has been supported by Fischer for many years now, since he won his first Olympic title back in 2012.
And there's nothing that being said about Michael. He's done so much for the sport. He's made us as riders all try to lift our game. He's an absolute brilliant rider and top horseman. But it hasn't helped him. There's a pole down at the vertical at number 8. You know, but this is a young horse. He'll be educating him for the future. Got a little bit deep on number 10, but she tried. She realised she had a mistake before and that she had to try a little bit harder. Going a little bit green coming into the double, but Michael uses all his experience to get her over that.
Well, 1 pole down and just inside the time, 30.9 in 13th position. It's going to be tough for last year's winner here in Jardy to defend his title. We saw Thomas Carlyle do it at Barbary last week, but Michael Young, who won here last year on Star Connection, just 1 pole down with Corazon. So 30.9, that drops him some 5 places on the leaderboard.
At 8 years old, I think we're going to see plenty of this one. Looks like a lovely sort of horse.
Now, though, it is Gemma Tattersall. Gemma currently sitting 3rd on the series leaderboard. Rides Chica Bella P, owned by Chris and Lisa Stone. 26.7 their starting score. A horse who actually show jumped clear here last year, had 2 time penalties, which ultimately cost her a place on the podium. I think, in fact, it might have cost her the top spot on the podium. But Gemma, normally very reliable in this phase, and this a mare who is so athletic, always wants to leave the fences up.
I'm sure after that mistake last year, she'll be keen not to have a repeat performance of the same this year. She's the toughest competitor on the circuit. She hates to lose, and she does a fantastic job in this phase. She really jumps a lot of clear rounds.
Well, 2 time penalties at Jardy last year are the only penalties in their last 3 rounds. Almost always competing at this level, often in Event Rider Masters. Don't get to see her that much. Did jump clear at Arveil already this year, no time.
Well, actually has been 4th in each of her last 3 Event Rider Masters appearances. This horse was a huge part of Gemma's series campaign last year. She's just got the last to go. Gemma Tattersall, Chica Bella P. They were just off the podium here last year. Mummy Tat, Marcel Tattersall watching on. And Chica Bella P adds nothing to her dressage score of 26.7. We saw her in the opening link with Hannah this morning. This mare really is a superstar. She's only been ridden, Gemma was saying, twice since Arveil, and only schooled on a couple of occasions since then. The rest of the work she does in the pool or on the treadmill, that is really quite some horse management. But Chica Bella P, Gemma Tattersall, clear round number 8. Well, next to come forward is a man that was expected to set a record last weekend with this horse, Kilnabrad Nevo, owned by Sally-Ann Eggington. 26.0 their dressage. The record that they were looking to set last week, Derm, was one for a number of consecutive clear rounds. Did not go to plan.
No, at the top level, 3 and 4 star. Only Mr. Bass was on an equal level to him. We expected Kilnabrad and Evo to make it 13. They'd never had a pole with Oliver. They'd never had a pole with Oliver and Andrew in 15 rounds. And then last week they had 5 at Barbary. Now, talking to Oliver, he said after the first one went, he wanted to try and find out what was in there. Was it a blip? And will they be back to their usual clear jumping round here?
And he certainly looks like he's jumping well through the combination. And he is a really careful horse. It's a horse I actually found in Ireland as a just broken 4-year-old, and I produced him up to intermediate level, and he was always a terrific jumper. really stylish round from Oliver.
Well, the time looks to be absolutely fine for Oliver Townend. Kilnabraden Evo, wouldn't be often you'd see Oliver pick up a time penalty in the show jumping.
I was going to say, I think the man has a clock on his head. I don't think I ever remember seeing him having time faults. But I'm sure Diarm will correct me directly.
He's quickly looking up what stats he can find. Oliver Townend, Kilnabraden Evo. Oh, the last goes, and that is a 1 pole down for him. 30 penalties, that drops him just outside of the top 10, moves that lady up a place on the leaderboard. Gemma Tattersall goes closer to that podium finish. But Oliver Townend, Kilnabraden Evo, 1 pole down, 4 to add, 30.0.
Yeah, that looked a bit unnecessary. He had a super round, really nice ride down to the last fence, and he just sat there and said, now time to jump, and he just didn't get high enough. He'll be disappointed with that.
Well, still leaves him in contention for a top 10 finish. As next to come forward, it is Australia's Shane Rose. Shane, who took the Event Rider Masters leg in Blair last year. That was with Virgil. CB qualified his ride here, the former Adelaide 4-star winner. 26.0 on the same score as Oliver coming forward. So if he is clear, then he will hold that position in his own right moving forward.
The horse is a proper old jumper. He's pure jumping bred, and you can see it. He's very deliberate. Gives the fences a lot of room. And that leads to the question then how nippy the horse can be over a tight, twisty track like Jardy. But with a man like Shane on board, he's going to do all he can.
So Shane Rose, CP qualified after all the poles standing so far. A combination who were top 3 in Aachen last year, was second the year before, have got their World Equestrian Games qualification with a good round and a good completion at Le Moulin. They actually had 4 down on the final day in the show jumping. But of course, show jumping before cross-country here, and the time is actually looking really tight. This could be very expensive. The clock turns red. The time penalties clock up 3 to add in total, 29.0 into 10th. And Shane Rose, CP qualified, just drop a couple of places on the leaderboard, but they stay inside the top 10. One lady who, though, continues a climb closer to a podium finish is talking to Hannah.
Well, Gemma, another superb clear round from you and Chica Bella P. The elusive 4th might make it onto a 3rd or a 2nd or a 1st.
Maybe, yeah, but what an amazing mare she is. She just tries her absolute heart out. She's such a careful horse, and she wants to do it for us, so she's very special.
She was in her stable this morning, smiling away, loving the limelight, and here she is again, showing what she's made of.
I know, she absolutely loves being at a show. She loves all these big shows and, these occasions. She's having the best week.
Well, we know you're pretty quick round the track, so best of luck this afternoon.
Thanks, Hannah.
Gemma Tattersall, can she climb higher than 6th? She was 8th after the dressage. She's already climbed 2 places courtesy of faults of Oliver Townend and Shane Rose. But we have just 5 more combinations still to jump here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. In the studio with me, Porrig McCarthy and Dan Byrne. Guys, we've had 8 clear rounds so far. We've got 5 more to jump. Who's going to be our leader?
Who is going to be the leader? I think that the interesting one for me, I think Alex Bragg and Zagreb, I don't think it's a guaranteed clear round there. I think they could. I think Entebbe Oos, again, Be Touchable, has jumped a number of clear rounds. You said less than 10. I think we might just sneak above it. I think there has to be at least 3 from the final 5 that we're going to have clear rounds from.
Interestingly, you guys at home who judged along on the SAP Spectator judging app said 11 clear rounds. That would actually put you spot on with that prediction. So we'll be watching this space. Next to go, firm fan favourite, because it is one of the home favourites. Big day for French sport. Gwendolyn Fur, Romantic Love, coming forward now. Combination who jumped clear at Bramham last time out, and actually 25.3 their score. Jumped clear on the final day in Pau last year to win Gwendolyn's first 4-star title. In 5th position, cannot afford a pole down to hold her position on the leaderboard.
In between those two, Nicole, they also jumped clear at Chatsworth in the Event Rider Masters 2018. to finish 5th. Two-time penalties here last year.
He seems to be jumping very well.
She's a lady dam who's pretty quick in the cross-country phase as well. But that pole is going to cost her a podium finish, I think, here, because 4 to add, 29.3 drops her to the bottom of the top 10. And Gemma Tattersall moves to no worse than 5th.
Yeah, again, turning back there, conscious of the time. I think she ended up a little bit too deep and horse got too close on the front rail.
The time is actually looking okay. She can't hang around up the final line because she's not got a huge amount in hand, but she's just got the last to go. Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love, does clear the last inside the time, so 29.3 drops her 5 places on the leaderboard. That is how close things are here in the Event Rider Masters, and 29.3 will be her score going forward to this afternoon's cross country. Porrig, it was an otherwise very good round, but unfortunately the pole went and 4 to add.
Yeah, this is the challenge of the Event Riders Masters. The show jumping is always influential, and he asked several questions, not only of the jumping but of the time, and we saw there she was conscious turning back and maybe just slightly overdid it when she came around. She ended up a little bit too deep, and it was an unfortunate rail because that's essentially an easy enough fence to jump.
Well, next to come forward, it is a man who was delighted with his dressage test yesterday. Tim Price and Wesco, 25.2. Their starting score in 4th position. There's a horse who's formerly won at 4-star level. Number of top placings as well. Has been away from top level international competition for a couple of years, but is back, and Tim looking for big series points. Yet to finish on the podium in 2018.
Yeah, I think the horse is not that long back. I think Tim is absolutely delighted. He's been a fabulous servant to Tim. I think he broke at the most unfortunate time before Rio. But brilliant to see him back. It'll give Tim serious extra horsepower.
Well, I think we're all expecting a clear round based on the emotion of the weekend, but also based on the hope and the data. So clear round last time out at Poe, that was 2015. Clear round at Aachen, also 2015. They had that very expensive pole at Kentucky in the same year when Michael won. All good so far.
Didn't get a lot of height over the Devaku upright, but left it standing. And to be okay on the time as he comes round towards this final line.
Wesco is an experienced horse. I think when they get a little bit older, they learn to judge them a little bit better, and he certainly jumped at big vertical very well.
Doesn't have a huge amount of time in hand coming down the final line. Tim Price and Wesco to the final fence. This could be big pressure on the series leaderboard inside the time, 25.2. Teammates watching on. Wife Janelle looking pretty pleased with that. No doubt she'll be hoping for him to have a podium finish this weekend as well. And fantastic to see this combination back together.
That's copybook. It must be like putting on an old pair of jeans that fit so well. He just looked like he was just out in a schooling round. Made it look very, very easy.
Well, importantly, none of the top 3 can afford any penalties to stay ahead of Tim Price in the jumping. Izzy Taylor, Be Touchable, jump clear in the show jumping at Blenheim last year when they won the series finale. 25.1 their starting score, and a horse that's pretty extravagant in this phase.
Yeah, going from one extreme to the other, where the other horse was very efficient, this horse is very exuberant. And we've seen horses that jump like this before struggle to get the time because they actually lose a fraction of a second over every fence. But Izzy is hugely experienced, and we'd be very surprised to see her get the time faults, I think, dear.
No time faults in the recent past, none in the last 6 runs. We did have a pole at Bramham. Gwendolyn Furr and Romantic Love also had a pole at Bramham. Of course, that was in the CIC3 there. This is our favourite for the whole competition this weekend. 6 CIC3 stars, 4 wins in 2 seconds. That's their last 6 runs. One of the most exciting horses you'll see on the circuit at the moment. All good so far.
Time's okay as well. Izzy Taylor, Be Touchable, coming down the final line, 25.1. They jump it clear. They will be on the podium heading into this afternoon's cross-country phase. They do jump it clear inside the time. 25.1. Izzy Taylor, be touchable. They're putting the pressure on Karim Leguag and Alex Bragg.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, you see her turning around on that tall vertical at number 10, and she just sat there really tall with her body and gave the horse every chance to jump it. Really good round.
And that is actually a clear round number 10. So if you at home judged along on the SAP Spectator judging app and said we'd have 11 clear rounds, then you just need one from the final two to make your prediction come true. We'll be watching this space very closely because we are into the final two competitors in the show jumping here. It's Jardy. And the first of those will be a man who was on the podium here 12 months ago. Missed out on the win by just a second on the cross country. Karim Leguag and Tebi de Oos had a pole down here 12 months ago, 23.9 his score. Could afford one time penalty, but nothing more to stay ahead of Izzy Taylor. And that, of course, will mean that he can't afford an extra 2 seconds on the cross country time this afternoon.
I think it was a horse that was on the silver medal winning team for the French in Rio.
Gold
winning, sorry. Asjay won silver individually. Has been castrated since, I think, has he problems with his concentration, but doesn't look like it helped his jump on the combination there.
Well, the first element of that treble combination does go. It's been the fence that's caused the most problems so far, and it costs him 4 places on the leaderboard. Karim Leguag and Tebi de Oos. Tim Price will be moving up that leaderboard. He will be on the podium going into this afternoon's cross country.
Two down out of the top 10. It was a very expensive show jumping round at Chatsworth. It's going to prove a very expensive show jumping round again as Jardy, Nicole.
Well, 2 poles down, 31.9 drops him outside of the top 10 and into 13th position. Bit of a rueful shrug of the shoulders there. Karim will be really disappointed with that. And that means that we will have a British leader going into this afternoon's cross-country phase, because Izzy Taylor is the one to beat from those that have jumped at the moment. 25.1 for her. Tim Price Wesco 25.2, currently sitting in second, and completing the top 3 at the moment, Gemma Tattersall, Chicabella P on 26.7. But of course, this is the man who produced a career personal best in the dressage yesterday. 23.6 sees him as the leader coming forward to the jumping. Derm, can he hold on?
No, Izzy Taylor's going to lead.
Okay.
One down for me.
Okay. Tell us what you really think. Alex lived dangerously at those planks.
A little bit of a shaky start. Ended up a fraction deep on number 2, but the horse tried. Hopefully after his little rub on the planks, he'll start to register that he needs to go a little bit higher. Here's the bogey fence. He's good. And it's interesting the dynamic the pressure puts on Alex. Wouldn't have been in this position before, but he looks like he's holding it together so far.
Jumped clear rounds at Blenheim in 2017 in the Event Rider Masters. He jumped clear rounds at Gackham in 2017 in the Event Rider Masters. Belton in the CIC 3-star, he had 2 down, but all looking very good so far. Needs to hold his lead and would be pulling out what would be a huge career PB again.
This next fence is one of those that has come down 8 times. Doesn't come down a 9th. Alex Bragg okay on time with Zagreb. Will he be our leader going into this afternoon's cross country? He's just got to clear the last. The pressure is on. But Alex Bragg, cool as you like. 23.6 gives us clear round number 11. And he will be last out over Pierre Michelet's track this afternoon. He's been playing up to the French crowd all weekend. We hope that he'll be able to hold on to that lead. It's a British 1-2-4, I should say. But lived dangerously at times.
Yeah, he got off to a shaky start over the first 3, but then he got back his mojo and jumped and rode a brilliant round in the end. Held the pressure. Delighted for Alex and his team, his wife Simone, to do a very good job. And this has been a great horse for them, Diarmo, over the last couple of years.
Oh, great horse over the last couple of years, and I think with the next, still only 14. But I mean, yesterday when you see a career PB at any level, to deliver, you know, so late in the day yesterday, and to be able to back that up right now with a really influential clear round, a really valuable clear round, to have them going out last when they know exactly what they've got to do this afternoon. Huge chance for Alex and his team now to be able to pull off a big Event Rider Masters win.
Well, we'll be watching this space very closely. He's done all he can do in the show jumping. Alex Bragg being congratulated by his team. We'll hear his thoughts in just a moment, but a lady currently well poised to go onto a podium finish this weekend, Izzy Taylor, is with Hannah.
Well, Izzy, we has you pegged as one of the favourites coming into this weekend, and you are not disappointing. A superb test in the dressage, a fantastic clear round. The stage is set for you.
Yeah, he's a very, very good jumper. He jumped a super round here. You always have to be a little bit cautious of the time with him because he spends so much time in the air, but he gave me a fab ride.
He could have jumped twice as high as that. I mean, he really does get some air, but you were quick round the course.
Yeah, he really genuinely loves to jump, and he's very exuberant. And, you know, like I said, my job is to make sure that I get him inside the time. That's the real crux with him.
And this afternoon, what are your expectations? There's some big players still out there, but you're in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I can't affect other people. All I can do is go out and do the best I can on him. And, you know, he's a very, very capable horse, and I'd hope he'll finish clear inside the time.
Well, you were top of the podium last year in Blenheim. It could be the same again, Izzy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at that leaderboard after 2 of the 3 phases. Alex Bragg's the grab, brilliant clear round for them. Just look at those clear rounds really making people climb up the leaderboard. Izzy Taylor, Be Touchable, moves up into second. Alex will actually have 3 seconds in hand on the cross country over Izzy Taylor and Be Touchable. Tim Price also in a podium position with Wesco. Good clear round from our series leader. Chris Burton and Cooley Lands will be one to watch in the cross country a little bit later on this afternoon. A little bit further down, Matthew Van Lanagan was top 10 with Trouble Effect last year, on course for another top 10 finish in 2018. A pole down cost Laura Collett a place inside the top 10 with London 52, but can still pick up big series points here. Pavel Spizak, Banderas were top 8 in Arville, and Jean-Luc Bigot and Utrillo du Halage actually moved up from 33rd after the dressage up to 23rd on the leaderboard after show jumping, so 10 places in total. Karen Donkers dropped out of contention with Jalapeno with 12 jumping penalties to add for her, and an expensive round for Clelia Casarati and Birdie on 39.5 after adding 16 jumping penalties as well. So the show jumping, my goodness, that leaderboard has shuffled, but one man has stayed at the top. Alex Bragg is with Hannah.
Well, Alex Bragg, you were living life a little dangerously in that round, but all the poles stayed up and you remain at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, he was jumping super outside. I knew that I had to attack between fence 1 and 2 and get the 8 strides to get into the rhythm that you needed for the time. I landed after fence 1, kicked on, and I think I nearly went on 7 before I finally changed my mind. And it just took me a few fences to get into the rhythm. Luckily, he's so talented. He done a super job, and looking at it being kind of 6 seconds inside the time, I should have just breathed and relaxed and had faith in the fact that, you know, he's got championship experience like at 4-star and stuff, and he is always good on the clock. So next time I think I'll just come in and breathe. Everybody put the fear of God into me yesterday, saying there were no clear rounds, the time was really tight. So I think I started off maybe, I'd say a little bit wild, like I was at Cheltenham races, and but yeah, by the end the horse settled, and he did a great job. He's clear and he's still at the top of the leaderboard, so all to play for.
First ERM of the season, and you're not leaving anything to chance. I mean, a superb performance.
Yeah, I mean, I've not managed to do many of these because I didn't have that many horses that were qualified to do them, so I have to save them for the big 3 days in the spring. Now I've got a chance to do it. The ones that I have done, I've always tried to be very competitive, and we've come here to try and win, and 2 steps out gone, and now I've just got to do the final one. So hopefully we'll have a good skip around the cross country this afternoon, and it'll be happy days, champagne everywhere.
Casual as ever, Alex. I love it. Very best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
Well, Alex Bragg will be our leader going into the cross-country a little bit later on. Pierre Michelet, the course designer here in Jardy. But in the studio with me for the show jumping, Porrick McCarthy, Derm Byrne from Echo Ratings. Porrick, first of all, not quite as tough as we saw last year, but 11 clear rounds. And actually, it did cause plenty of movement on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think he got it just about right. We saw fences down everywhere, particularly the combination. We saw some surprises. Some of the horses we expected to go clear, like Kilnabrad and Evo, had a pole down. The favourites, Chica Bella, jumped fabulous. Izzy's horse jumped fabulous. And great to see Alex getting the clear at the end there.
And can he hold on? Will Alex Bragg stay on top of that podium after the cross country? He can be 3 seconds over the time as things stand at the moment to go ahead or stay ahead of Izzy Taylor.
You always put me in these positions to
I
get
do.
me in trouble. I think time penalties could be an issue. Not necessarily around Alex in particular and Zagreb, but if it plays out the way I expect, I did suggest that could happen there. With 30% clear jumping right there, like 8% last year. I do think you begin to see it change a little bit. Last year we had over 20% make the time. I don't think we're going to have that. I think we're probably looking at a Chris Burton style and our Veal style where only the fastest ones are going to get clear and it becomes a question of time penalties.
Can you tell us my favourite Echo Rating stat this weekend? Because we're set for a certain trend this year on the cross country.
So every second year, and I presume it's because of the change in course, that was what you would believe it's related to, but 2010, 16% made the time, 2011, nobody, 2012, 24%, the next time it ran, 2014, again, nobody, 2015, 22%, and then 2016, nobody, last year, 26%. So we're back into it. We're back into what that would suggest to me. It's because of the direction of the course that we're seeing that. We know from the riders it's a twisty, turny course. Trends suggest we're going back to nobody making it.
If that's true, we're going to have a very exciting afternoon sport.
So I mean, who do you pick out now? I mean, you've got to go for speed horses. That's the only read we can get on it at the moment. That it is going to be a very tight time. If I'm going for speed horses, the obvious one, and I know you're getting bored listening to me, but Chris Burton and Cooley lands clear inside the time at Buccleuch. He's done it on every horse that he's ever sat on almost. He's the one that still stands out even from where he is now.
Absolutely, Chris is amazingly fast. That horse is very quick as well. You'd wonder how quick Tim will run Wesco around this course. It could be a suitable course for him. It's whether he wants this early in his comeback to be fast with him. But Izzy, you won't bet against Izzy as well.
And Izzy, we saw that speed at Blenheim as well. So Be Touchable is there. Zagreb has it all to do, but has put himself with 2 superb phases, has put himself into position to do it. I wouldn't be backing against them. I would only be raising the possibility that the speed comes true for some of the others. But look, if Zagreb does it, there will be champagne, as they said, and look, no one will be happier than us. But from a stats point of view, I'm still being drawn to the speed.
Well, we'll be watching this space. Porrick, thank you very much. Derm, thank you very much. We're looking forward to this afternoon's cross country. We hope you've enjoyed the show jumping as much as we have. The scene is very much set for an incredible afternoon of cross country action. Echo Ratings are warning us the time could be tight. Just 16 seconds on the time actually separates the top 10 in the field. Who will take the win here in leg 5 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series? Make sure you join us this afternoon to find out. Big afternoon in France, 13:05 Central European time. We go live. We'll see you then.